you tell me a bit about your company? About obviously you fly drones quite frequently.
Mm-hmm.
So when did your company sort of?
So the company was set up in 2014, set up predominantly to train operators to use this technology legally in the UK airspace. First we set up in Bristol, but then we've moved up to Lincoln in the last 2 years. We're all from an ex-Royal Air Force background, flying the bigger UAVs from the United States, and we've been set up training, like I said, we're CAA accredited since 2014 to train people from all walks of life how to operate these legally and safely.
What was your thoughts on the Gatwick?
Well, there you go. There's a slide there on Gatwick. It's dented the positive use of this technology, and it was only a matter of time really before something like that happened. Thankfully, no one was hurt. It just caused disruption, but at least it's brought into the public eye now the need and the necessity to regulate this properly, and for operators to be trained to a high standard.
Do you think the industry is growing for drones? Do you think they're
massively.
going to expand?
It's the second biggest technological area of expansion, second to 3D printing. So you can see how much of an impact it's going to have.
And you think they're going to change the future of filmmaking?
They already have. There's not many TV shows or films now that you put on or you'll see that don't have some sort of drone footage in them. Even Homes Under the Hammer,
Or location.
Exactly.
And
Loose Women.
yeah.
I don't know about Loose Women. But inside, I get my hands on then and do and fly them. So probably about 2 or 3 times a month I actually get to fly them. But other than that, we're predominantly around the sort of teaching side.
What would you say the new skill set that a drone operator would need, say, that differs from a cinematographer? What kind of?
It's all about. On the camera side, like you said, it's very similar to shooting with a normal camera. All the functionality is there that you would get in normal cinematography. However, now you've got to put that skill into the air. So you need to be aware of the airspace, the rules of the air, the weather, certainly on days like today, and your situational awareness. What's going around you needs to be on point all the time. So that's where we come in. So we'll take people from cinematographer backgrounds or agricultural backgrounds or police, and we'll then teach them the skill sets they need to incorporate this technology into the airspace.
Okay, so you train the police and other cinematographers?
We train quite an eclectic mix of people from, like I said, from the police, security services, Ministry of Defence, people from farming backgrounds, so agronomists who want to use it to monitor their crops and their fields. We've trained the planning department out in Hong Kong when they're doing surveying work and surveying companies around the UK. And of course we've trained people from media backgrounds, so we've trained the Game of Thrones production team out in Belfast. We've trained BBC News, ABC News, and we've trained quite a few sort of wildlife programs, people who go out and sit for days on end and in the Serengeti and take pictures of giraffes and stuff like that. So it's quite a broad spectrum of individuals that we cater for.
Okay, and so do you have a commercial drone license or a permission, I guess?
Yeah, the company itself has a permission for commercial operations, so we can go out and fly for commercial gain if we choose, but we also have we're also a national qualified entity, so we're accredited by the CAA to give those recommendations for the permission. So if, for example, you wanted to go and get your permission, we could train you to get that.
All right, and as a drone license, what does it entail? Like, is it a very challenging process, or?
Well, there's a lot to it. So we only have a short period of time to take someone with no aviation knowledge up to quite a high standard. So it's a 3-day course, and the first 2 days is based in the classroom where we go through almost an abbreviated private pilot's license. We talk about air law, human factors, weather, emergency procedures, all those things that the knowledge that an operator would need. And then we'll go out and do some flying, and they'll do a flight test similar, perhaps not as intense as your driving test, but still flying around, and we have to ensure that an operator is then up to the required standard before we can give them a recommendation for a permission.
Okay, so what productions have you used drones for? Like, have you worked on any massive productions or
Me myself,
smaller?
no, yeah, it's always been, when I've actually gone out and done some work, it's been just smaller projects for documentaries on the internet and stuff. But the people we have trained is the quite exciting element. So who are proper cinematographers by trade. So we trained the chaps who filmed on Spectre, James Bond. That was the first people we trained, and then the Game of Thrones, which was probably the most prolific one we've done, and that entailed going out to Belfast and going on set with them. So that was quite interesting.
So the Spectre shoot, was that all chasing
I believe
on the buildings?
could have been. All I know is from that is that they wrote off 3 aircraft trying to get one particular scene. They ended up running. I think it must have been a chase scene where they put it into a wall, and they did it 3 times to get the shot they needed. So it was quite expendable.
You say how much weather affects flying of a drone?
Well, at the moment, any sort of precipitation, i.e. any rain or hail or snow, greatly affects the performance, so much that we can't even get airborne in that sort of environment. And the wind, anything above 20 knots as well, it becomes challenging, and so we have to keep a close eye on the weather, and mainly the precipitation and the wind.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real challenge, I suppose, because you can't fly it in the rain. And that's
No,
and
exactly.
the wind, of course, it can only take so much.
About 20 knots of wind.
Some ones are different, aren't they? But
Yeah, yeah,
just got to hope it's sunny, I suppose.
exactly, and that's the challenge we have in this country.
Yeah.
It's yeah, the inclement weather.
So you use the DJI. Is it mainly those products, DJI, or the?
We use DJI products because they're quite ubiquitous. Most people use them, and they are very good at what they do. You know, the cameras, the software, how they fly is very, very simplistic. So they appeal to a lot of people, you know, because they are so easy. And they're great for training. They're great for training. Certainly these Inspires are great because they have a little bit more substance, so they can handle the wind a bit better, and they're quite intuitive to fly as well.
Okay, I think I've asked this before, but have you got you've had more experience on DJI products than any other one?
Pretty
Any other
much.
drone?
Yeah. And really, DJI have 95% of the market. Yeah, so they've really monopolised the whole drone flying industry.